Just about a month ago, we had the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2 and the first look teaser at a brand new Mario Kart. And one thing we're all still curious about is this new course, Mario Bros. Circuit. Could this be the biggest course we've had in the series yet? And does it really indicate some major changes to the series? Ahoy folks, and welcome back to another video. Back after the original trailer, I did a deep dive analysis on this new Mario Kart. But since then, I've taken another look at this course. And I think we can figure out almost exactly how it plays out. If you haven't already checked out my analysis, make sure you do, as I'll be building off of it. So let's take a closer look. In my original analysis, I made this map based on how I thought the course was designed, but I think it's actually pretty different now. The course opens up here at the starting line in Mario Bros. Circuit, but since we see the characters coming from further back, we can assume this isn't the start of the race, but likely the end of the first lap. So lap 1 probably keeps to the proper Mario Bros. Circuit. This ring-like track here around these structures. It likely mostly sticks to the track, and loops around back to the starting line. But rather than just a traditional closed-loop circuit, we can see this large cliff in the back is actually a road, most likely an anti-gravity section, giving this area of Mario Bros. Circuit a sort of figure 8 look. So players would drive around the main circuit and this large cliff before looping back to the starting line. But after this first lap, it changes, like the Tour City tracks or N64 Calamari Desert in the Booster Course Pass. Rather than big transparent arrows appearing, physical barriers are placed on the track, directing players to drive off to the right onto this dirt path, before they then turn left onto the main large highway. They continue straight for quite some time, past the Yoshi Diner and this row of item boxes. The road then turns a slight right, then a harder left. But if we look closely, we can just barely make out that it turns right again. So where does it go from here? Seemingly around this large butte and these cliffs, eventually heading off the main road and onto a dirt path that winds a bit before reaching this banner on the right. If we look closely, I'm pretty sure it says Mario Kart. So this banner is most likely a lap marker, making this the end of lap 2 and the start of lap 3. So it doesn't just change directions each lap, it's also a sectioned track. From here, players continue on this dirt path, cross the main highway, and through this winding dirt road on the left. Now, I know this goes against my original thoughts, especially since we can see a flag and a fence through the middle of the dirt road, but maybe that's just to deter drivers in lap 2 from trying to shortcut through. Maybe once lap 3 begins, these obstacles would be moved away, much like the physical barriers up at the main circuit. From here, it eventually heads back up to Mario Bros. Circuit, most likely connecting back to the main track somewhere on the opposite side, then immediately taking drivers up this anti-gravity section before looping back around to the finish line. So with these updated ideas, the map of the track would look something more like this. In terms of track design, while there are definitely some larger sections, it doesn't seem too unusual from Mario Kart standards. Even the width of the highway meant to represent Route 66 isn't much bigger than N64 Toad's Turnpike or Wii Moonview Highway. But that calls back to the first question asked. Is this really one of the biggest courses we've had in the Mario Kart series? Well, I don't think so. Sure, graphically and visually it looks huge and the details are great, but in terms of the design of the track itself, I don't think it's going to be significantly different. So this gameplay clip from the starting line to the cutaway of 2025 is about 20 seconds long, and we can ignore this cut from handheld mode to TV mode, where the characters seem to remain in roughly the same place. So let's assume that this reflects 14 seconds of full gameplay, right? In that amount of time, players take a right turn, a left turn, and just barely pass the Yoshi Diner on the straightaway. Surely, that's indicative of a big course, since they don't get very far, right? Well, let's compare with some other courses in the series. I mentioned N64 Calamari Desert earlier, so let's start there in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. How far do we get in 14 seconds? Okay, so almost to the second railroad crossing. But this isn't exactly accurate. See, I was drifting, using mini turbos, and more to increase my speed. But in this footage of the new Mario Kart, we never actually see a mini turbo get used. Drifts begin, but only to turn. So none of these drivers are increasing their speed much, outside of the one boost pad that we see them touch. So if we emulate the same driving style here, we only just make it to the first railroad crossing. That's barely anywhere on this track, with a lot left in the race. So what about a different course? Another one that's presumably pretty huge. Let's look at Woohoo Loop from Mario Kart 7. Driving around the entire island is so big, it's one big loop broken into 3 sections. Surely that's a huge course, and a good comparison to make here, right? Well, let's see how far we get in 14 seconds. Only about to the end of this bridge. And looking at the map, that's barely any of the course. Only really the first turn. So what does all this mean? Well, I think it means that looks are deceiving. The average Mario Kart race takes around 2 minutes to complete, and I think it's going to be about the same here. Despite Mario Bros. Circuit looking like a massive course, ultimately, I don't think it's going to end up being that much longer than your average course. And that's okay. That's completely okay. This may not be a big open world Mario Kart or a hub world or any of the grand ideas that people have been having for this game, but it's a great looking course with some really good visuals and a fantastic sense of scale to make it feel like you're driving through a huge course. And that presentation is great. Honestly, I can't wait to see how the full course comes together in gameplay. Of course, there are still the questions of item boxes beyond this particular row, as well as these special glowing boxes that look like takeout bags of food. While I'm sure that there's going to be more item boxes throughout the course, let's quickly talk about these special ones. I believe it's some sort of special item box, though I'm not exactly sure what it's going to give. But I'm confident that it won't always look like this. It only looks like this bag because of the diners on this course. There's probably another one somewhere on the course, maybe somewhere on the left over here, near the other restaurant. But I think in other courses, these special boxes will take on different looks that fit the theme of the courses themselves, or at least of their surroundings of where they're placed. Right now, based on how little we know, it's hard to say much else about these. But with that, that'll do it for this extra deep dive into Mario Bros. Circuit. I'm fairly confident that I figured out how this course works now, but what do you guys think? Maybe you prefer my original interpretation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and make sure to subscribe for plenty more gaming goodness from me, including plenty more on this new Mario Kart. But until next time, farewell everyone. Special thanks to my channel members at the Co-Star Luma tier, Game Explained, and Kiss My Flapjack.